Hello, hello, and welcome to the relaunch of the Her Game 2 podcast. It's the first episode of the relaunch. I'm your host, Clayton at ClaytonAFC on Twitter, and I'm joined by Caz, who is obviously the founder of Her Game 2. How are you, Caz?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. How are you doing?
All good, all good. First of all, where can people find you on the infamous Bird app? That is Twitter.
Or X now, actually.
At
Did we get
X.
it
Yeah,
right?
thank you,
Come on,
thank you.
2024, keep up. Yeah, I am at Caz May on X, but also on Instagram as well.
Happy days. So if you lovely listeners, want to go and check out everything going on with Her Game 2, Caz is obviously the person to follow there. The official channels will all be posted with this episode when it goes out. But what are we doing here, Caz? Tell the listeners what we're up to. You've obviously been on a long journey since the initial podcast series that you guys did at Her Game 2. I think you did around 8 to 10 episodes initially, and it's been a little bit of a break since then. So how long's it been, and what have you guys been up to?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we got busy after the first one. But thankfully now you've offered your time, and hopefully we get to keep you for longer than 8 episodes, and actually get some wonderful content in place. But yeah, we are approaching 3 years of Her Game 2 next month. So yes, it's been a long old journey for us, an exciting journey. Every day something happens. So it's been great. It's been wonderful. It's been stressful. It's been absolutely everything you can ever imagine, with something that's grown so quickly in such a short space of time. So yeah, to be honest, I can't remember what I even said in the last podcast, but we are now on 74 partnerships out of 92 professional clubs,
Wow.
which is insane. We have now got overseas partnerships. So we've got AEK Athens in Greece. We've got a number of clubs in France. So actually, we have gone beyond the UK now, which is both exciting and scary at the same time. So yeah, it's been extremely busy, and I'm sure you've got tons of questions that you're going to ask. So I'm going to stop waffling now and let you
No,
carry
waffle
on.
away. I think that the first question for me is obviously I've been speaking to you for a while. I've been following Her Game too, so I know about the charity and the organization, but there'll be a lot of people listening that it may be the first time they've even heard of Her Game too. So while we've obviously touched on previous content, could you just give a summary of what Her Game 2 is to new listeners who may not have heard about Her Game 2 before?
Yeah, absolutely. So Her Game 2 is a organization that is completely voluntary, and it's just run by female fans of football. So we set out originally in May 2021 to raise awareness of the issue of sexism in football, and it was born out of our personal experiences. So actually, I've had loads as a female fan, following a League One club home and away. And as I
I
started to
feel like you
come,
need to specify who that is.
do I have to?
I
We're a
think
bit
you
off
have to,
form at
yeah.
the moment. So I'm a supporter of Bristol Rovers. There we go. It's out there. Everyone knows now. Let's move on. So yeah, I've followed them for 17 years now. And I used to attend games with my mum every single game. We had a season ticket, and we sat in the same space. We got the car. We took the car to games, and everything was sort of okay at that stage. And then it was when I started to go with my friends, I realized actually being a woman in football, you get these experiences that are quite unpleasant. So
Sure.
Her Game 2 sort of came about me speaking to Lucy, who is a Bristol Rovers supporter with me, and we met through our love of Bristol Rovers. And I asked her, is there anything in football? Do you believe there's anything in football for women to go to support them when they have experiences of sexism? And she thought about it, and she thought, there's initiatives out there, but nothing specifically to support women. And what I would have absolutely loved back in the day is to have a network of female football fans that get it, that have experienced it, that I can talk to, but it
Sure.
wasn't there. So we started it, and we thought, here we go, let's just do it. So that's how Her Game 2 was born. And I formed a group of women who I believed were strong women that can drive this forward, that has a passion for this. And it was about a list of probably about 20 women that I followed on social media, on Twitter. And I had to narrow it down to a small few because otherwise it might have got a bit out of control. So I went through my list, expecting some people to say no, they didn't want to be involved. They all said yes, and they all said it's absolutely needed. So 12 of us got together. We came up with the name Her Game Too. I don't want to tell you some of the names that we had thought of. It was something ridiculous, like let her be involved as well. Something stupid like that.
A bit of a mouthful, that one, yeah.
Yeah. And then someone just put in there, what about just Her Game Too? And then it was like, that is perfect. Like that says what it is, it encapsulates everything that we want to say in one short snappy little hashtag. So came up with Her Game Too. We then came up with a launch video, which was all of us holding up our experiences on a piece of paper, passing it on to each other. And
that was actually the first time I came across Her Game Too.
Was it?
Yeah.
I mean, again, a massive gamble. Wasn't sure how it was going to be received. My emotions when I pressed tweet at the time, because I didn't schedule
your heart rate just went through the roof, I bet.
Yeah, but to be honest, I kind of thought, oh, it would probably flop. That was my fear, is that it would probably flop and it wouldn't get the impact that we wanted it to have. But boy, was I wrong. It blew up and it was amazing. And we had loads of women coming forward and men coming forward saying, like, I've seen this, I've heard this, I've experienced this. And from then on, it spiraled. Like, it just became this big movement, which obviously I'm extremely proud of, and really glad that I did take that leap, because like I said earlier, we've got 74 clubs now signed up in the UK, and all of them have pledged to support us, to stamp sexism out, work with us to eradicate sexism from the stands, to support their women's teams, to get local grassroots girls teams involved in the clubs. And everything's changed. It has changed, and it's wonderful to see. But for us as a group of women that are doing it in our spare time, it's very, very busy.
And credit to you all. It's absolutely amazing what you're doing. And I think, again, I only know this because I started speaking to you all a little bit recently. But can you give us an idea on how many people are behind the scenes working on Her Game Too? I know there's ambassadors. It's all voluntary work. How many people are helping on everything going on at the minute?
Yeah, so I think early days we had to kind of decide, okay, out of the original 12 that launched this, how many are serious and how many have the time to take this forward and actually lead on this? So obviously I put myself forward because it's my passion project. I came up with the idea, so I couldn't bail out of it now.
Here's the idea, bye.
Yeah, you lot do all of it. So I put myself forward, Lucy put herself forward, and then we had a few other women putting themselves forward. And over time, we then came up with a core team of 6 of us that are now directors of the campaign, and we basically oversee the everyday runnings of the campaign and manage all of the ambassadors. So managing the ambassadors between 6 of us is quite a big job, because we have, I believe, 113 ambassadors now on the team. And essentially what ambassadors are there to do is to look after the partnerships that we have with the clubs. So for us, I'm based in Weston-super-Mare near Bristol. So for me, I can't be looking after the clubs all around the UK because I don't have the time. I've also got my own club that I need to keep in constant communication with. So
and you have a day job as well, right?
And I have a day job. Oh yeah, just that little thing on the side. My 9 till 6 day job. Yeah. So yeah, it's extremely busy, and our ambassadors are amazing. We came up with the idea quite early on about getting a female fan from every single club that we work with to be our representative of Her Game Too and help to manage that relationship. And it works perfectly. It's absolutely amazing. So we come up with the ideas that we want to do, we roll it out, and they go and they just do it, and it's fantastic. And you've probably seen it on socials, the work that they all do, and we couldn't do it without them, because we would not have the time, we would not have the capacity, we can't be chasing up these clubs to do stuff, we can't be going into these clubs and having meetings. So yeah, they're amazing, and they're really such an important part of the team. I couldn't tell you how amazing they are.
I believe you. It's I've had a snippet of it being involved in the Slack, and yeah, seeing the welcoming that they've all given. It's absolutely brilliant. One thing that struck me, so I didn't realize there's 113 ambassadors. I don't know if you're aware of this. The last podcast series you did, On that episode, you said that you had, I think it was 36 ambassadors. So
Wow.
it just shows how much you've grown in that small period of time as well.
Hmm.
In terms of objectives with Her Game too, obviously, when you first set it up, you said you wanted a network of strong women to be surrounded by, and there was that core of you of six, right? Well, 12 that you then narrowed down to six. You're now working on like campaigns with clubs across the world, and yeah, obviously you've got 74 of the 92 in the UK. How has the growth in your ambassadors and I guess the eyes that you have on Her Game 2 changed what you're focusing on? Like, what are the main focus areas for Her Game 2 now, and has that changed compared to when you first started it all out?
Yeah, I think to be honest, we've still got a massive list of what we want to do. That like the opportunities are endless, which is a great position to be in. So initially we started it to raise awareness of the issue. We did a survey of just under 400 female football fans after we launched, and 91.9% said that they'd witnessed sexism in football, and
Bloody hell.
58%, so this is over half, have said that they'd personally experienced it and been a victim of it in a stadium or a pub. So that's in person, it's not even online. Over half of women have had a personal experience. So that's when we realized, okay, this is a really big problem. And then once we'd presented those stats to the clubs, they then realized, wow, this is a bigger problem than we ever thought it was. So the raise and awareness aspect of it, I feel like we've done really, really well. And it's still something that needs to be done. You still get people saying that there's not a need for it, which is
Really?
astonishing, because there is a
Yeah.
certain individual who will not be named who is putting things on social media with this 2.8 million followers, which is sexist towards women in football.
I could see where that was going, yeah.
Yeah. So it baffles me that people say there's not a need for Her Game 2, because there absolutely is. So we will continue to raise awareness, but now we are heavily focused on women's football teams, the growth of women's football. So we're incredibly lucky that the Lionesses have grown massively,
Yeah.
sort of in sync with Her Game 2 launching.
Yeah.
It's been really weird, because when Her Game 2 launched, the Lionesses hadn't won anything or like gone on any runs or had many opportunities, been on telly, and then suddenly boom, it's blown up. And you
Yeah.
can see women's football as a whole, like Arsenal selling out the Emirates now. It's boomed, and it's synced up really, really nicely to what we're doing. So at the moment we want to keep that going, keep that momentum up of women's football. So with a lot of our partner clubs that we work with, we ask for them to involve their women's teams a lot and give them the platform of the main stadium. We're heavily working to promote the women's football fixtures, get massive crowds in, make a real event of it, inspire the next generation. So that's something that we're really, really heavily focused on. But to be honest, it's a minefield of stuff that we want to do, and education's a big part of it as well. We want to go into schools. We want to teach kids at playground level that football's a game for everyone, because again, you'd be amazed about how many kids just are still sexist, and they're obviously getting that from the generation above them. So yeah, there's a lot of work to do, and I couldn't give you a direction, because to be honest,
Yeah.
and as you'll learn now being part of the team with the multiple channels on Slack, there are so many.
Yeah.
Introducing first-time fans is another one as well. We want to get more women in the stadiums, see an increase of female season ticket holders in men's games and things like that. So yeah, what a question.
Yeah, minefield. So I guess to someone listening at home thinks, oh, I'm really enthused by this. I really believe in it. I want to help. What would help everyone at Her Game too? What's one thing that everyone could do to really help drive this and continue to raise awareness?
Yeah, to be honest, I think allyship's a huge thing for us. We have such an amazing network of male ally support, and I've seen it firsthand where there's been sexism towards a female referee in the stadium, and the guy behind me called it out and like, fair
Good on
play
him.
to him.
Yeah.
He was there with his girlfriend, and this must have been like 5 or 6 men in their mid 40s, and he was a bit younger, probably in his 20s, and he turned around and he was like, you don't need to say that, there's no need to.
Yeah.
And I just thought, wow, like, fair play
Good
to
for him.
him.
Yeah.
and it worked. They were a bit taken aback by the fact that actually this lad next to them didn't find it funny, and they weren't impressed. So I would say, yeah, standing up for women in all areas, whether they're fans, officials, players, and supporting them. And again, it's not to say, oh, you need to go to every single women's game, and you need to make sure that you're going to games with women. Like, you don't need to do that. But then when you hear something, call it out, challenge it, educate, because if everyone does their bit to educate, we're going to see a difference eventually at some point. So there's lots of people who can do, obviously, championing the message of Her Game Too, getting involved in the dedicated fixtures. You might have seen we've got selfie boards with Her Game Too. You know, if you're a fixture and you see the selfie board, get a photo with it, and like influence people that follow you on social media and show them that actually football is a game for everyone. There's lots of people who could do it, and there's a volunteer form on our website as well if you want to get even more involved and help us out, because we're always after volunteers, whether that's more ambassadors, whether that's content creators, writers, bloggers, people to do graphics, anything like that. We haven't got any money. We're volunteer led. So, you know, if anyone wanted to volunteer their time to help us out, that would be amazing. So, yeah.
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, you heard Caz there. If it's something that you want to get involved with, please go check out the volunteer form, because I know that every pair of hands is useful in something like this. I just want to rewind a step. So you obviously spoke about all of the campaigns that you're working on, and obviously it's all volunteer led. Can you talk to me about a campaign? So for context, in the UK, worldwide, it's April 2024. And obviously it was International Women's Day recently, right? And I know Her Game Too did a lot around that. Can you talk to me? I use that as an example of a campaign, but any campaign you want to talk about that you're proud of, and just give us an insight into the amount of work that goes into it. Because even there, you talk about dedicated fixtures. Sure, someone like me will say, oh, cool, there's a selfie board there, but you're all volunteers. Tell us what goes on behind the scenes, because I know it's not just a quick WhatsApp, like, here, chuck the selfie board there.
Yeah. International Women's Day, that is our time to shine. Like, that is our favorite time of the year. It is the perfect opportunity to celebrate Her Game Too, to celebrate our partnerships with our clubs. And thankfully, they're all so receptive to it, and they want to support and they want to champion. So everyone has really wonderful ideas. But to be honest with you, when it gets to like end of December, I start to get a bit, International Women's Day, it's like 3 months away. But
wow, okay, far out then, yeah.
Yeah, because we need to start planning, we need to start contacting clubs. So our role as directors at this point is to get our ambassadors up to speed with the ideas that we've got for the International Women's Day for this year. And each year we like it to be a bit different. I say each year, we've only had 3 years of the campaign, but
still 3 different campaigns, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we like to sort of have a set theme, which isn't always possible, but we ask clubs to sort of do what they can to support. So this year's theme was very focused around grassroots girls football and getting them involved and getting them feeling valued at the main clubs. So we would sort of write up a little bit of a guide for our ambassadors, and then we'll just roll it out to them and say, here you go, this is the theme, this is roughly what we want to do. Off you go, speak to your clubs. And they're brilliant. They'll go, cheers, thank you, off I go. I'm going to go arrange a meeting. And a lot of them will have face-to-face meetings with their clubs. They'll sit down and they'll say, this is everything that we want to do. Can we do it? And sometimes you'll get clubs going, oh, that's not possible, but this is possible. And then we get more ideas coming through, and then the girls will come back from their meetings and share what the clubs have said. And then it's like everyone's sort of sharing each other's ideas and go, oh yeah, I like that, I'm going to take that for my club, and this is good and this is good. And then it then becomes not just Her Game Too, but the clubs are involved as well. And it's exactly what we're asking them to do, is work with us and inspire and educate and all of these wonderful things. And actually, it's a big UK-wide collaborative effort between Her Game Too and the football clubs that we work with. And some of the content that comes out of it, and some of the girls that come away feeling valued and inspired is it's honestly, I'm always crying every time the girls are sending photos through. I'm like, oh, set me up
that's
again,
amazing.
because I love seeing it. I mean, like Levi, our ambassador for Leeds United, was sending all these photos of this grassroots girls teams on the pitch, and they had Her Game 2 warm-up tees on, and they walked out with the players, and the players are like with the girls. And we've had girls teams doing lap of honors. We've had one of our partner clubs in the championship donated 600 tickets to women and girls to encourage them to come to that first game.
That's amazing.
And clubs really are buying into it and thinking, right, yeah, this is what we want to do. We want to see more women in the stands. We want to make our grassroots girls teams feel like they're part of this, which they absolutely are. Like, you know, if you're part of a community, you're part of a community. And at Bristol Rovers, we managed to get Bristol Rovers women playing their first ever league game at the main stadium. And it was genuinely one of the best days ever. It was just
that's incredible.
Everything went perfectly. We made a real event out of it. I'm there on Canva designing these programs that we got printed and we sold. And then we had like Her Game 2 merchandise that we've made profits for. And then with those profits, we've been able to donate to Down End Flyers girls team in Bristol, because they contacted us and they needed some equipment. And then the girls they normally get around 200 people at the sports centre they play at. And they got an attendance of 1,633 at this game.
Gosh.
Yeah, so massively. And then Ipswich Women, we did the same at Portman Road, and they normally get, I want to say about 500. It's not a lot. Okay. And then they got 10,000 fans at Portman Road. Hell. It's like having the girls at the main stadium makes a massive, massive difference. So yeah, we're really pushing that. And International Women's Day is a perfect opportunity to go to these clubs and say, okay, you've partnered with us. Now what are we doing? And everything else, like the T-shirts and the selfie boards and everything like that, is all extra just to have the message in. But the main thing for us is, okay, what are we doing to like link in the grassroots girls teams? What are we doing to get new fans through the gates? Female fans, I should specify, through the gates. How are we educating, how are we inspiring, how are we champion female staff, how are we championing female footballers? Everyone that's a woman that's involved. International Women's Day is the perfect time to do it, and Mother's Day in the same month. So there's a bit of a women's situation.
Good shout, yeah.
But yeah, in terms of how busy it is our end, we supply all of the artwork for the selfie boards that you see. So I'll sit there and design it on Canva. We do all of the ordering. We order all of the T-shirts, all of the mini hand waver flags. We have to liaise with the clubs. We have to make sure that everything's booked in, everything gets ordered on time. We then have to secure funding to cover that, because obviously we don't have any money. So we'll go to organisations like the EFL and say, this is what we want to do. Please, can you help us so we can buy some stuff? And they've been great. They've given us some money, and it's a lot of admin around like full-time jobs, but credit to my team. Like they're amazing. I don't think we had one single thing go wrong this year, and we had over 50 dedicated fixtures, so it was absolutely incredible. But yeah, it's a lot of work. So sometimes I'm like, please, a quiet day at work so I can do some extra little bits of work time. But it's
so inspirational. I don't know how you'll find the time to do all of this outside of full-time jobs, and that's what I can only just stress what you said. It's volunteers. If you're sat at home listening to this and you think you can help in any capacity, you spoke earlier about graphic designs. If it's something like you can blog, do content, anything, if there's anything you think you can offer, please jump on the website and fill in those volunteer forms. It would help exponentially. You can hear about everything that's going on within Her Game 2, and it's unbelievable what you're doing. Now, one question I've got on funding. So obviously you spoke about going to EFL. Is there any other organizations or methods that would be helpful if you were to raise awareness to help with funding for Her Game 2?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we look into quite a lot. And I think the danger with Her Game 2 is that people think that we are funded, which is great. I mean, it's a credit to how well the team are doing, I guess. If people look at us and think that, oh, they're really professional, or they've done this and done that. So I think for us, it's like, well, no, actually, like, we really struggle to get money. It is difficult, and a lot of sponsors aren't willing to give a load of money these days. It's just the way that it is. So for us, it does take a lot of effort to get proposals together, to get get sponsors to give us something. So we were very lucky with the EFL, but even that, it's like we did a whole conference with them. We've done 2 webinars now with the EFL to show them what we're doing, to show that we are serious, because no one's just going to throw money at you. I mean, like,
No, of
we
course.
weren't born yesterday, so it's kind of like, you know, you need to prove yourself first. And I think with the first year of the campaign, a lot of our own money was going into it just to prove we are serious, you know, like we aren't just here to get money to spend on like going out for drinks or anything. Like, this is something we want to invest in. And if the money that we spend on selfie boards, t-shirts, flags even inspires one little girl to think that she can get involved with football, then it makes a massive difference. And it's little things like the players will warm up in the Her Game 2 t-shirts, they'll sign it and they'll give it to a little girl in the crowd, and we've got lovely video footage of them getting really
That's
excited,
amazing.
and they keep it and they take it home, and they've got that for years then. And it's that constant reminder, it's your game too, like you are valued and respected in this world. So yeah, for us, it's funding is like, you know, something that we really want to do. But again, if anyone's got any experience in funding proposals, please get in touch, because we're trying to learn as we go and get things over the line and get money in. But it is difficult, and probably a weakness, if I'm honest, where we are, because we haven't got anyone who is A, got the time, or B, got the experience to actually get something in. But hopefully one day we'll get that partnership that supports us, and we can actually potentially go full time with this, or get some paid staff or something like
I'm
that.
sure you will, with the trajectory you've been on. I'm sure it will, like, you only have to reference where you were 3 years ago and talk about the amount of ambassadors you've got now. And I think the 74 clubs, being in touch with clubs outside of the Premier League, outside of the EFL, in other European leagues, it's absolutely mind blowing. Obviously, it's not all sunny happy days with what you're having to do, and I know you obviously come across some horrible stories. You've spoken about some of the statistics there in terms of sexism in football, and I think it was 58% you said of people that filled in that report of 400 people have experienced it themselves. I know we've spoken before, you get a lot of reports sent into Her Game too. Obviously, something we want to do with the podcast is be sensitive about it, but use it as a platform to raise awareness, right? I think a lot of these reports probably don't get shared around, and it might just get lost sometimes it could just sometimes get lost. So what's some of the saddest reports you've heard recently that you would like to kind of raise awareness around, and just emphasize the point on these things are still issues in day-to-day society when people are still going to football, that we can hopefully help raise awareness and clamp out?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a reporting line on our website, and at first, obviously, not many people knew about it, but now more people are starting to become aware of it. They're starting to use it. And we're not just talking about women attending football matches. Like, the reports can span from all areas, all ages, all places. So one of the most shocking ones we had recently was about a young girl who plays for a football club, one of her local clubs. And the boys that she went to school with were quite jealous of the fact that she got into this club and that she was playing at like quite a good level at that age. So she's 10 years old.
Wow,
So
young.
the boy, yeah, so the boys would be the same age, and they had a real issue with her playing football and wanting to play football at school. So in the report, they stated that the bullying towards her was going on between 8 to 10 weeks, and it was things like, girls shouldn't play football. What are you doing trying to play football? You're a girl. Football is a boys' game. Girls belong in the kitchen. And that sort of thing, you aren't born with that mindset. Like,
No.
that's coming from someone influencing you from the next generation. And it's really sad. And I think this is what people don't realize, is actually how easily influenced these young boys can be. So they've been going at her for weeks and weeks and weeks. She's been very resilient, and the coach who reported this to us was very proud of her for being so resilient and getting on with it and shaking it off, which I think, good on her. She's a girl after my own heart.
She's 10 years old though, isn't it? She shouldn't be needing to be resilient. That's horrible.
Yeah, exactly. So she carried on, and this obviously frustrated them more. So they took it upon themselves, or one of the boys did, and they grabbed a football and they kicked the football from really close range straight at her arm. And bearing in mind, she's 10 years old, quite fragile, and they actually broke her arm from doing that. So that when that report came through, it really breaks my heart, but it gives me 100 times more motivation than I had before to carry on with what I'm doing, because we get abused for what we do. We get people telling us that it's not needed, and it actually makes me feel more validated in what we're doing, because that is such a horrendous thing to read.
Yeah.
And the poor girl is now in a cast. She can't play football for months. She's going to miss the rest of her season, which she's worked so hard getting into this team, playing for this team. And now she can't play anymore. And it is at the fault of these boys telling her she can't. And they've won in this situation, right? Because they've said, you shouldn't be playing. And now she's not playing because she's broken her arm. Sorry, excuse me. So that came through to her game too. And straight away I wanted to help. How her game 2 can help is, well, to be fair, it was quite limited before, but now we've got the partnerships and the relationships with so many organizations and football clubs. There are things we can do to support. So
that's brilliant.
Other than sending her game 2 merchandise that she can wear and feel proud of and remember the messaging, we since found out that she's a supporter of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. Okay. So we reached out to Sheffield Wednesday and the Sheffield Wednesday Women's Supporters Group, who are both brilliant. We've got a great relationship with both of them. We're partners with them. And they were so quick to respond. They were brilliant. So we got permission to get the details of the girl and her mum, passed that on to Sheffield Wednesday. They went away and they've came back to me and said, this is what we're going to do. So they're going to invite her to the game on the 9th of April against Norwich. She's going to have complimentary tickets with her mum. She's going to meet the entire matchday squad. She's going to have a tour of the changing room, and she's going to get to go pitch side, which is really, really wonderful. And I really hope that, I know it's not going to fix what's happened, but I hope that makes her feel that actually this is a small minority of boys that feel like that. And actually the professional
the world is on
club,
her side.
Yeah, the club that she's grown up to support, which people might look at as being a boys' club, actually they don't feel like that, and she is always welcome at Sheffield Wednesday. And I just, like, my heart melted when I read that, because I thought that's absolutely brilliant. So yeah, that'll be coming up, and then hopefully we could get permission to share photos of that on social media. But all credit to Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, absolutely brilliant. They don't have to do that, and they've really, really wanted to support her, which is great. And on the flip side, because this did happen in Sheffield United have also pledged to support, despite her being on the blue side of Sheffield.
Yeah, no.
And Sheffield United are working on an education piece that they'll roll out to schools in the area of Sheffield. So obviously it's not a direct hit towards these boys at all. It's not going to be like they're going to go into school and shout at the boys.
No, but as a general awareness piece, 100% it's needed.
Yeah, so we're going to work with them on that, do an education piece, and then hopefully we'll be able to get Sheffield United going into the schools, and maybe Sheffield Wednesday too if they want to get involved, and the boys can be educated from a professional club point of view, because everyone knows how influential these professional clubs are, especially of boys of that age. So all credit to Sheffield United as well. Both Sheffield clubs been absolutely brilliant. I know it's not going well on the pitch for them at the moment, but off the pitch they are fantastic.
You said that, not me. I am not getting involved in any footballing talk. No, that's absolutely amazing, because all I was thinking of in my head there is it's amazing what's come of it from such a horrible situation, where this little girl's going to have a day of her life, hopefully, when she goes and watches the game against Norwich. But all I kept thinking of is, like, how can we prevent this happening again? And to me, it's the education piece. You're bang on the money. You said when you're 10 years old, you don't learn, you do learn that behavior from other people. That's not ingrained in you. So I think you're spot on there when you're talking about Sheffield United going in and doing these programs where they go into schools and they educate people. That's something where hopefully that's a program that succeeds and can be scalable across the other partnerships as well. Because I then think, I'm imagining like little 10-year-old me, I'm an Arsenal fan. If Arsenal are coming to me and educating me on something, I'm listening to them more than my parents. Like, that's the love people have for their football clubs. So I think that's really something powerful that's come from a horrible situation. So Fingers crossed that all goes well. Just one thing for people that obviously you mentioned there's a reporting line. So for people that do hear of, hopefully it's not often, but we're not naive to things. We know that there's horrible things going on. How can people report things to you? You said someone reached out to Her Game Too on this.
Yep. So they went through our reporting form on our website. So it's hergame2.co.uk/report. And you can fill out all the details there. Obviously, there are some other reporting mechanisms you could go down. You can report to the likes of Kick It Out, who are brilliant, your local football club as well. But what we like to offer is we are a group of women. So we often get women that want to report to us because they know where it's going. And some women feel that something's happened and they don't know if it's worthy of reporting, so they'll come to us for advice. So if anyone wants any advice, just reach out to us. We've obviously seen it all, we've experienced it ourselves, and if you just want some help speaking to the clubs or reporting something to the police or anything like that, please do reach out to us, because we have now got the powers to work with the football clubs, the EFL, the Premier League, the football policing unit. And we are starting to see actually we are being listened to and action is now being taken, which makes me really, really proud, because that is something, as I said earlier, that I wanted when I was experiencing these things. So yeah, please do use it if you feel like you need that advice or you need that support, because we will do our very best. And our ambassadors are brilliant in supporting people in their local area as well. They're available to meet up if you want to meet in person, if you want to have someone assist you when speaking to the club, we can do all of that. So
oh, lovely stuff. Amazing. I think for our first episode, we've covered a lot there. I think hit the nail on the head, doing a lot of amazing things. Obviously, giving us some brilliant insight into the amount of work that goes on behind the scenes, the amount of people that there are. It's all voluntary work. Again, I know I've said this 2 or 3 times in this episode, but if you're tuning in at this specific moment, if it's something that you feel resonates with you, if you want to join on this journey of raising awareness and clamping out some of the horrible stories that you hear, please, there's a volunteer form on the website. As Caz has just said, there's a reporting line. Please get involved. It's all part of an amazing mission. Is there anything else you wanted to cover for episode 1 of the relaunch?
To be honest, like everything I've just said there is a small little nutshell of what Her Game Too is. She's a big beast. But I think we've covered the key things. But obviously, if anyone wants any more information, we've got our social media, we've got our website. Please do check out all the work we're doing, because we are proud of it. And we do want to show it off with all the work that goes into it. Probably an extra 6 hours a day on top of my normal day job at the moment. So yeah, please do check it out.
Just to double down on what Caz has just said, obviously this was the first episode just to give you a little bit of a holistic view on what goes on. Do you want to give the listeners an idea on what we'll be doing in future episodes? Because obviously we're looking to do this as a bit more of a consistent schedule. And we'll be looking to, obviously you said that's Her Game Too is a big beast, so we're going to be tackling the beast. What are we going to be tackling?
Yeah, I mean, the hope is that we can get women from all different areas of football as guests on this podcast. So I'm talking women that officiate grassroots at professional level, women that play at grassroots or professional level, or women that work in football, women that work for organizations associated with football, the Premier League, the EFL. We're going to scout them all out and hopefully get them on. And then as this podcast grows, we can hopefully get some big names on as well. I've got a few in mind. I'm not going to name drop right now because, it might not happen, but I've got a few in mind that I'm going to ask, and hopefully we can deliver some really insightful stories about what it's like for women in football, and how we can inspire people to get into football as well. We're not going to go all doom and gloom on this, I promise. But we want people to feel inspired, but also raise awareness of actually what goes on. So stay tuned.
Brilliant. And to help Caz and the team get there on that journey, getting to the certain guests that they want, obviously this is a new-ish podcast, right? So if you're listening and on all the audio platforms, please drop a review. It helps the discoverability of the show. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that little like button, subscribe to the channel so you see all the future episodes. I cannot stress how much seeing engagement on those social channels will help everything in terms of Her Game Too being able to get certain guests on and on that mission of just raising awareness. But That's all from me. Caz, thank you very much for your time. We'll be back with the second episode very soon, and we will leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.